under the compound interest concept, we have two more varieties to discuss. Okay, the one variety is compounding half yearly or semi annually. One more variety is compounding quarterly or 3 months once, and the last variety is also there, which the variety is not going to ask in any one of the exam, that is calculating the compound interest monthly basis, compounding monthly basis. Okay, so this methodology, sorry, this concept or this variety, nowhere they are going to ask you in the exam, because for the first year if you want to calculate 12 times interest you have to calculate. Okay, so that is the difficult method and nowhere in the exam they are going to ask you. Okay, so let us discuss how to solve compounding semi annually or compounding half yearly. Okay, see here, consider the principal amount as rupees 100, the principal amount as rupees 100, and the rate of interest is 10% per annum, 10% per annum, and you have to calculate the compound interest for 1 year. You have to calculate the compound interest for 1 year, that is on half yearly basis, half yearly basis, half yearly basis. Half yearly basis means in each year you have to calculate twice. First half year one time you have to calculate the interest, second half year one time you have to calculate the interest. Altogether in 1 year you are calculating interest for 2 times. For 2 years if you want to calculate the interest on semi annually basis, okay, 4 times you have to calculate the interest. First half in a year one time you are going to calculate, second half in a year another time you are going to calculate. So for the first year twice you are going to calculate, along with that for the second year also you are going to calculate twice. So altogether for the 2 years you have to calculate 4 times. But if we use 10% rate of interest for each and every time calculation, the answer what we are going to get is not the right one, because 10% for first year means half year it is 5%. Okay, 10% for second year means for half year it is 5%. So for the first half year 5%, second half year 5%, third half year 5%, fourth half year 5%. Like that we have to calculate. Okay, so semi annually means on a year you have to calculate twice. So time period into 2 we have to do, time period into 2 we have to do, and rate percent by 2 we have to do, rate percent by 2 we have to do. Okay, for first year you put t is equal to 1 and 2, so you have to calculate 2 times. Okay, for the second year you put t as 2 and 2 times you have to calculate, so 2 into 2 which is equal to 4. So 4 times you have to calculate, and the rate of interest is by 2, that is 10 by 2 which is equal to 5%. So now I have taken the condition as t is equal to 1 year, rate of interest is 10% per annum. So principal amount is 100. See here, 100 is the principal amount, 10% semi annually means by 2 which is equal to 5%, which is equal to 5%. So 5% on 100, that is rupees 5. Altogether you are going to end up with 105 for 6 months, 6 months. Okay, so for 1 year again you have to calculate. See, I told you already, t means 1 year into 2, twice you have to calculate. So again you have to calculate 5% on this 105. 10% means 10.5, 5% means 10.5 whole divided by 2. So which is 5.25, which is 5.25. So altogether you are going to end up with 110.25. Okay, so if you compare compounding annually, compounding semi annually, in compounding semi annually after 1 year you got 25 paisa extra when compared to the compounding annually. If you want to solve the same problem using the traditional formula, then we have to do like this. See here, amount is equal to principal amount, it will be same, into 1 plus rate of interest by 2. See, for first half year means per annum if it is 10%, for half year it is 5%. Okay, so because of that reason we have to divide the rate of interest by 2, whole divided by 100 whole to the power n, that is compounding annually. Semi-annually means n into 2. Semi-annually means n into 2, means for 1 year we have to calculate twice, so into 2. 2 years we have to calculate 4 times, so 2 into 2, 4. For 3 years we have to calculate 6 times, so 3 into 2, 6. So whatever may be the time period, if the time period is n, then we have to multiply it by 2. So this is the formula what we have to use to calculate the total amount under the compound interest doing semi-annually, compounding semi-annually. Next concept, compounding quarterly. So how many quarters are there in a year? You have 4 quarters. So per annum 4 times we have to do. 2 years 8 times we have to do. 3 years 12 times we have to do. And can we use 10% per annum for each and every quarter? No. Per quarter the rate of interest reduces. Consider the rate of interest as 12. For easy calculation purpose and for easy understanding purpose, I am taking rate of interest as 12. Because if I take 10 divided by 4, I am going to get decimal, and it is very difficult for you people to understand in the initial stages. Because of that reason, I am taking R as 12%. So how many quarters are there in a year? 4 quarters are there. So you divide it by 4. So 12 by 4, 3%. So 3% for first quarter, 3% for second quarter, 3% for third quarter, 3% for fourth quarter. Altogether you have 12% per year, but quarterly you have to calculate the interest. Okay, so 3% per quarter. So per year how many times you did? 4 times you did. For 2 years how many times you are going to do? 8 times you are going to do. So time period into 4 you have to do. Time period into 4 you have to do. Other than these things, the same methodology for each and every variety. So whatever we have discussed. So semi-annually the same concept, the formula, okay, same methodology. Quarterly the same methodology we are going to use. If you want to use the formula, traditional formula method to calculate, then go for this one. A is equal to principal amount will be same into 1 plus rate of interest by 4. So per quarter divided by 100 whole power n into 4, whole power n into 4. So time period into 4 you have to do if you want to calculate quarterly. See, n 1 year 4 times per year you have to calculate, n 2 year 4 times per year, so 4 into 2 8. Okay, so this is the methodology what we have to use to calculate the compound interest under quarterly concept. If you want to calculate monthly, okay, for the information sake let me give you, if you want to calculate the compound interest monthly, then rate percent divided by 12 and the time period into 12. The rate percent divided by 12 and the time period into 12. So if you want to calculate monthly, So these are the different varieties of problem what you can expect in the compound interest. Along with that, you can expect few more varieties, that is clubbing of simple interest as well as the compound interest. They are going to mix up both the two. Based on that, they are going to ask you to calculate the values. Okay, so we are going to discuss different varieties of the problems in the later part of our video classes. What problem number 1 says? See here. An amount of rupees 6,000 lent at 5% per annum compound interest for 2 years will become. So after 2 years, what is the total amount you are going to get if you are going to deposit rupees 6,000 under 5% rate of interest under the concept compound interest? Directly I solve this problem conceptually. Okay, I won't prefer the traditional method. Already I have shown you how much time you are going to take if you use the traditional method. Okay, so directly I am going to use the concept method. Okay, so if I solve conceptually, consider the principal amount as rupees 6,000. So next 5% on 6,000. How you can calculate the 5%? 10% by 2 you can calculate. So 10% 600, 5% 300, 5% 300. So 6,300 is the total amount what you got after 1 year. Second year you have to calculate on this 6,300 instead of calculating on 6,000. In simple interest you are going to calculate on 6,000, but in compound interest the total amount what you are going to get after 1 year, based on that amount you have to calculate the interest on second year. Okay, so 6,300 again 5%. So 10% is 630, 5% means half of 630, that is 315. So altogether you are going to get 6615. Altogether you are going to get 6615, that is option D. Otherwise only by taking the interest amount also you can calculate. Interest amount is 300 for the first year. Okay, you have calculated here, based on that I am writing the interest amount is 300 for the first year. Second year it will be 300 plus 5% on 300. Already I have explained why we have to take like this in the introduction part itself. So which is equal to 300 plus 5%, 10% is 30, 5% is 15, so altogether 315. So first year 300, second year 315, so altogether you are going to get 615. So total amount will be 6,000 plus 615, which is equal to 6615. Very simple to calculate. So problem number 1, option D is the right answer. Okay, so if you are going to use the modified formula method, yes, you can use. The modified formula method is A plus B plus AB divided by 100. So A represents 5%, B represents 5%, and AB 5 5s are 25, and AB represents 25 by 100. So 5% plus 5%, 10% plus 25 by 100, 0.25, altogether you have to calculate 10.25% on the principal amount. So 10.25% you have to calculate. So 10% easily you can calculate on 6,000. 10% will be 600, and you have to calculate 0.25%. Okay, so 0.25% how you can calculate? 0.25%, you have different methodologies to calculate 0.25%, that is 25% by 100 you can do, or else you can do 0.1% plus 0.1% plus 0.05%. 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.05 is not the feasible one. Instead of that you calculate 25% by 100%. Okay, so 25% by 100%. 25% means 6,000 divided by 4. 6,000 divided by 4. So 6,000 divided by 4, how much you are going to get? Okay, so 1,500 you are going to get. So divided by 100. If you want to get this one divided by 100, then it is 15. So 0.25% is 15. So altogether you are going to get 6,000 plus 600 plus 15. So which is equal to 6,615. 6,615. Okay, so 6,615, option D is the right answer. And you can notice one thing here. See here, 5% for the first year, 5% for the first year. So 10% is the simple interest, but in the compound interest you are getting this 25 by 100, that is the extra interest, that is 0.25, that is the extra interest what you are going to get on the second year. Okay, so option D is the right answer for the first problem. Let us go to the second problem. Problem number 2. See, from problem number 2 onwards, I go with the concept method. Whenever it is required to use the modified formula method, in those type of variety problems itself I am going to use the modified formula method. Otherwise, directly I go to solve with the conceptual method only. Okay, so you can notice how much time you can save. See, it is very difficult to calculate 0.25%, 0.125%, 0.375%, and if there is an option like this, none of these, then it is very risky to estimate which is the answer. Okay, so you have to calculate the accurate answer, because if you want to be in the safer zone, you have to calculate the accurate answer. If you make the wrong answer, then you are going to get the negative mark. Okay, so because of that reason, you have to calculate the accurate answer, otherwise your logic should be perfect. Okay, so the modified formula method is not feasible to use every time. Wherever the conceptual method takes too much time, at that time you can use the modified formula method. So on what type of varieties we have to use the modified formula method, let me explain you in the later part. Okay, so let me solve through the concept method. Okay, so 5,000 is the principal amount, 2 years we have to calculate, 5% is the rate of interest. So 5,000 is the principal amount, 2 years is the time period, 5% is the rate of interest. So 5,000 and you have to calculate 5%. So 10%, 500. Already we have discussed in the concept called percentages, how to calculate percentages directly by splitting, how to calculate the percentages. These things already we have discussed in the concept called percentage. So 5,000 we have to calculate 5%, 10%, 500, 10%, 500. So 5% means half of 10%, that is 250. Half of 10%, that is 250. So 250. So 5,250 is the total amount what you got after 1 year. For the second year you want to calculate. So again 5% on this 5,250 you have to calculate. Okay, so 10%, 525. So 5% means 525 by 2, so which is equal to 2 2s are 4, 2 6s are 12, 2 2s are 4.5. So 262.5, 262.5. So altogether after 2 years the total amount what you are going to get is 6 plus 5, 11, 1 carry, 5,512.5. So 5,512.5, option D is the right answer. Okay, you can come through the interest methodology also. The interest is 250 for the first year. Second year again 5%, 250 plus 5% of 250. 10% is 25, 5% is 12.5. So 262.5. So the same interest amount you are going to get. So whichever method is easy for you people, you follow that one. Okay, sometimes calculating the interest on the previous year interest amount will be easy. Sometimes calculating the interest amount directly on the total amount will be easy. It depends upon the problem, and based on the problem you have to practice, and based on the practice you can identify which method is the best method. So problem number 2, option D is the right answer. Let's go to the next problem, problem number 3.